A conversation with Quest Corp, while it always would, while at the end of the quarter would be about what the numbers were, also moves into the sphere of what's happening within the jobs market, hiring, and what is their view over the slightly short to medium as well as the long term. So we'll do all of that over the next 10 to 15 minutes with Mr. Guruprasad Srinivasan. He's ED and Group CEO and joins us right now on the back of a quarter which saw 33% revenue growth, 45% PAT growth, but a contraction in margins. Mr. Srinivasan, good having you. Thanks for joining in. Hope all is well.
Yes, Dheeraj, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
The pleasure will be ours. So let's talk about the top line growth first, 33%. And as I saw across verticals, I thought you had fairly decent, steady or comparable growth, so to say.
So yes, I think the quarter was really good, 33% on our revenues, and by headcount we have grown 27%. Which is a fantastic sign. And in quarter one itself, we have added almost about 100,000 people close to, and there is an attrition of almost about 60,000 people. So on a net, we have added 30,000+ people in one quarter. That's the kind of capacity what we have built at Quest currently.
Yes, indeed. And you would suspect, you would reason that most of the, I mean, if I can call them verticals, but most of the segments kind of grew at a decent pace. And is that a sign of things to come, or were there some chinks in the armor somewhere?
So yes, I mean, there are few segments which I would call it as a traditional platform. BFSI continues to grow. Absolutely nothing to crib about. The digital side of BFSI, a lot of penetration on merchant onboarding and for all the digital payments and gateways and etc. Plus the regular BFSI programs are doing really well. One sector specific call out would be retail. I think lot of people are now moving out and doing online. I mean, more than online shopping, it's an offline shopping. And we are seeing good demand coming in retail. It was quite low for first 3 quarters of FY22. From Q3, late Q3 to Q4, we are seeing a lot of mandates coming in. And Q1 also, we did good hiring for retail. So that's a segment to specifically call out. Plus 2 other segments, manufacturing and telecom, with 5G around and with a lot of upgradation on 4G in itself. A lot of activity happening in telecom. So BFSI, retail, manufacturing and telecom are great contributors for Q1 and continues to be for Q2 as well.
Yeah. Can I just ask a follow-up? I was going to ask you about manufacturing for sure, considering the kind of results that companies have come out with and the commentaries thereof. And the other bucket, actually, let's first talk about manufacturing. How strong has been the buoyancy in the last couple of quarters? And based on your conversation, how do you see that shaping up over the course of the next few quarters, arguably the next 2-3 years?
So this is I would call it as a futuristic segment for us. And if I were to just give some numbers around it, between manufacturing and construction, 2 verticals which are quite strong. And on a consolidation basis, we would have just touched about 20,000 by headcount. Compared to last year, we would have grown at least about 30-35% in this particular segment alone, which shows the kind of strong demand coming in from this segment. There is it is still not yet the PLI impact which is coming into. These are largely the consolidation and aggregation that is happening through organized from unorganized moving into organized. So that's the demand what is coming in currently. We are yet to see the PLI impact coming in. I'm sure that's going to tick in as and when we move on to further quarters.
Wow. Okay. And presuming and with the knowledge that the PLI scheme, the incentives are linked to the expansion which lasts over the next 5 years, safe to assume that the upward trajectory might actually continue at least for the next 5 years?
It should definitely. The way it has been, the way it is, the way it has been outlaid, it has to definitely contribute because the kind of value that we are talking about runs in few lakh crores, right? So it is anticipated that this in itself at its peak will create upward of 7 million plus jobs only in that particular segment where the PLIs are being called out. So yes, on a 5-year basis, definitely yes, there is something that we need to look for with a high alert.
So, Mr. Srinivasan, PLI, non-PLI combined, one would suspect that manufacturing could form a fairly large proportion of the hiring that happens even otherwise, or for you as a business segment as well. Or let's say if not now, then in FY 25-26.
No, I mean, of course, this is going to be across for us as well, and
Yeah, of course.
hiring in itself. See, what will happen is I mean, when these incentives and when these schemes are announced and the manufacturing intensification in the country happens, because Make in India reinforcement is quite vibrant. So with that, it's going to definitely come into play. And as and when it comes, one area that we definitely see a gap is to see that to get the right skill at the right time. That's an area probably for us to address. And substantial work as a country we'll have to do. There are the skill development programs has to be reoriented to cater to the kind of demand that is required, and accordingly the demand is also going to go up. Not only manufacturing, even in construction, the kind of projects that are happening across the country, a lot of reinforcement on infrastructure projects. So construction alone has almost about 62 million workforce, and which is purely unorganized currently. And that's also an area to be on a kind of radar for us.
Is there a space therefore for a very large new business upskilling segment that I guess you guys are present in some fashion there, maybe, but is there therefore space for this piece to become much larger?
Absolutely. As and when the demand goes up, right? So you need, we need to get just in time the right set of skill that who can actually take over the job and do. For example, if I take in construction the bar benders, they may not have too much intellect. There will be mechanization, there will be automation, but some level of training, a short crash course there will help them to accelerate and deploy. Similarly, in manufacturing, the dexterity levels, in few of the production line. So, it will be a kind of just in time. Maybe a short training is definitely will accelerate and ensure that they get the ready state of supply of people on the production floor.
Got it. Now things look very good, but operationally not the greatest. You would admit yourself. Now what happened? And I don't have the reasons, but I'm just trying to understand from a margin perspective. How can things improve from where they were in Q1?
Perfect. So there are three contributors to drop in margin. First and foremost, by plan, we are investing to rebuild one of our platform under emerging business, which is Monster.com.
Sure.
We have raised a capital, and by plan, we are investing that to do two aspects. One is to acquire candidate footfall. On the other end, to build the product in itself to give a better experience to both recruiters and the job seekers. So it's going to be a kind of end-to-end differential experience that a candidate and recruiters are going to get. And this is by plan. So that's one burn which has come in, and that has got almost about 60 basis points of reduction in our margins. The other two areas are SG&A cost has gone slightly up. That is again, we have, last 2 years, the increase to our own core associates core employees were not that high because the market environment were very different, and we have been quite liberal and happy to give a better increase and better variable pay this year. So we have absorbed that cost. And the third one is one of the large contract in our facility program. We renegotiated for a long term. The contract was expiring on 31st March. We had to bring down price a bit and extend it to a long range. So these are three contributors. How would we look at? Currently, we are about 3.85. It has a potential to come back to 5% soon.
of 5% for a particular quarter.
By end of the financial year.
By end of the financial year, okay, which is fine. Okay, which can okay. So some reports which suggested that it could even go to 5.5, 5.75. You don't rule that out, but
conservatively to be, that's where we are.
Okay, a word on Monster though, since you are investing into that business, and I read that the belief is that at some point of time there could be a J-curve effect out here. Can you explain that for us?
Look, a couple of indicators. Their revenue is going up by 53% quarter on quarter, which is a fantastic sign. Our renewal rate of licenses subscriptions are pretty healthy. There is a new beta launch that we have done, which is a early career platform for millennials. So that is the first launch that we have done to give that the better strike rate to candidates who come in. Our 6-month active user base has grown by 17%. So that's another good indicator. Most importantly, the number of search, which used to be about 3 billion, has jumped to 9 million, which means more recruiters are coming onto the platform and looking for profiles. So these are few great indicators which is also kind of reinforcement for us to the kind of investment that we are making on the platform.
That's a 3x jump you're talking about out there on the search piece. Okay, so therefore, how steep can a possible J-curve be? And I understand that it only comes in when you reduce the investments, which would come by the need for reduction of investment. But surely there are some timelines that you might be working on.
So the current investment that we have raised will be spent this financial year up till FY23 March 23, and thereafter, at the moment, we don't see any kind of fund infusion that may require unless and until any incremental. By that time, the revenue will also be coming to the level as per plan and expected. So I think that's where we are currently. So we don't anticipate any major fund requirement at the moment.
No, which is fine. But the J-curve up to a particular time, you reckon will happen in FY24?
Absolutely. FY24 second half is when we are also expecting it to break even.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. One final question then, Mr. Srinivasan. Actually, two questions. One is on the business and then one is on the general piece. On the business, what kind of growth can one anticipate? Steady state, what you've done in quarter one, extrapolated for the rest of the year, part one. And part two of my question, for how much longer do you anticipate a period of fairly high or steady state growth? How many years, if you will?
Okay, so if you look at by platform, our workforce has grown by 33% and our GTS has grown by 29%. Integrated asset maintenance, while EBITDA has taken some hit, the revenue has grown at 29%. And of course, our product-led business is growing 100% and above. So on an average, 30 to 33% is where we are growing by every platform. With the outlook and the cost, we are quite confident to stick to our statement and commitment that we have made to grow at a 20% CAGR comfortably. Because this year is bit, I would say, bit abnormal because the basis of previous year would not be really that appropriate because the hiring was pretty low, FY22 and 21. But 20% is a good conservative outlook that we can. And to your second question, see the demand, what I see is, if you ask me, we have a demand for next 10 years, right? We definitely see the kind, it all depends on the kind of action that is happening on the ground. Whether it is PLI that we spoke about, the construction that we spoke about, the digital push that is happening in the country. With all of this, everything has to lead back to one indicator. One of the indicators which is key to this is creation of employment and getting the right talent. And with all these activities and movement around, I'm sure we are quite confident to see this demand should definitely stay. for long, at least for next 5 years, we'll have good demand coming in.
Very good. So outlook looks positive. You'll probably grow at a slightly higher rate than 20% for the current year, which is FY23. I'm presuming you will be disappointed if it slips below 30 because the base of the last year comes into play. And FY24, while you're guiding for 20%, you told me that there could be a bump up in Monster in the second half, which could aid slightly better growth than 20% for FY24 as well, even though you're not saying it.
In a way, yes.
Great. Thank you. I wouldn't want to put words in your mouth, but thank you for being conservative. It helps. But much appreciate you taking the time out and giving us a lowdown on how things are shaping up. And all the best for the quarters ahead, Mr. Srinivasan.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, sir. And viewers, thanks for tuning in.